You're listening to the Baumbastic podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Baumbastic postgame show, our first of the 2025 postseason, the first of the NCAA tournament in here in 2025, whatever the hell baseball calls their tournament in the postseason. And as you know, today's Baumbastic postseason podcast is presented by Hickey and Hole Law Partners here in Arkansas, where they handle matters such as divorce, custody, criminal, civil litigation, and more. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. Boys, I got a feeling things are going to get better for this Arkansas Razorback baseball team because they won in dominant, thrilling, easy fashion. Just kidding. Maybe not the most resounding of wins. They do get the win 6-2 over North Dakota State. You avoid disaster. You avoid any funny business. Arkansas didn't have to use a ton of pitching. I would say not the most efficient performance, not one that's going to blow away the fan base, not one that's going to make a bunch of people believers, but Arkansas does get the job done. And honestly, they didn't have to use a ton of pitching. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling fine. It was one of those things to where, it would have been nice to go out there and just dominate from beginning to end, score a bunch of runs, get it going. But a win is a win is a win. And in postseason play, as we know, if you're a Razorback fan, you can never take those for granted at all. I would say that this game didn't really change my feelings on tomorrow. As far as so they're ready now. It's ready to go. Not to say that I feel bad about it, but it was fine. I mean, Arkansas got a lot of contact on the ball. Like you said, they didn't use a whole lot of pitching, which is great. So it's one of those things hey, I'm happy they won, but I'm not going to sit here and lean back and be like, oh, man, whoever, Creighton or Kansas, whoever's getting it tomorrow is going to be in trouble. It's fine. It's great.
Yeah, I think I'll still be as nervous tomorrow as I felt like I would be before the game. You never complain about a win. And at this point in the season, that's all that really matters, that you got it done. But, I think I'm in the same camp as you guys where, I don't know, is it possible to just be pleased because you did the job and it kind of went according to that script that we felt like Dave had laid out there without being like an overwhelming, dominant, statement-made sucker, kind of performance? They just kind of did the job. I like it from a pitching standpoint for sure with where they stand going into the rest of the weekend. Would I like to see the offense go absolutely nuclear and score 25 runs and hit a bunch of nukes or whatever? Yeah, it would have been awesome, but you didn't need that. You won the game, and if anybody just looks at the box score and they're like, oh, wow, 6-2, man, yeah. I don't know. It didn't seem like they really had their best performance, and they didn't, but there was no drama here. It was never in question, never in doubt. They did what they had to do. 1-0, you move on to tomorrow.
You do move on to tomorrow. It's weird. Last year in this same situation, Arkansas beat SEMO 17-9. So you end up winning by 8 runs. You get a little bit of that offensive explosion, which is kind of hilarious because last year's offense, as we know, sucked. And this year's offense doesn't suck. And so I think a lot of us kind of had that in our minds of hey, let's just take care of business, blow these guys out, throw Colin Fisher. We'll all be fine and dandy. It'll all be easy, and it'll be what you want. It'll go according to script. Weirdly enough, I feel like it worked out better for Arkansas in this one. Of course, you didn't get the offensive explosion, but you only used 2 pitchers, 2 left-handed arms, which, by the way, we're going to talk about those performances because I thought both of them were very encouraging and good signs for Arkansas. But you didn't, like last year, Arkansas had to use Gabe Gackle. They had to use Will McIntyre, really had to exhaust that pitching staff. And they didn't get a great start on the mound from Aiden Jimenez. And, again, we will talk about all of that and all of the factors of this game, who stood out, who looked cool, who didn't look cool, who we're worried about. And we'll look a little bit ahead to tomorrow. But before we do that, I want to tell them about our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law. We'll learn a little bit more about them. Woo pig. They love Hickey and Hole Law puts asses in seats, man.
Divorce and what number marriage is he on? Okay.
He was like, I love those guys. Divorce and custody cases are too important to try and face alone. Let Hickey and Hole Law provide you with persistent and diligent representation to help guide you through the entire process. They have handled thousands, not hundreds, thousands of family law cases and have experienced nearly every scenario that may come up. The foundation of a strong attorney-client relationship is honesty and trust. Hickey and Hole Law prides themselves on building those relationships with their clients by providing honest, principled advice and representation. They know every case they take is important, and they strive to give each one the utmost time and care it deserves. Hickey and Hole Law have offices across the state of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. You can call them today at 479-434-2414, or you can check out their website. Visit Hickey and Hole Law, which I believe is right above our heads right now, .com, or scan the QR code right next to that little website there. Tiki and Holall, things are about to get better. Also want to give a shout-out to Trey Vera, who hooked us up with some cool suits.
Oh, man.
Have we determined, are we doing the suits Sunday? If they take care of business tomorrow and they beat whether it's Kansas or Creighton, are we suiting up Sunday night?
With the win, I think we need to.
Yeah, when we get to the regional finale, we're going to be wearing our Sunday best, which if they win, of course. If it's an elimination game on Sunday, we can't be suited up. But why spend so much money renting tuxes and suits when you can own the highest quality ones at an affordable price? That's what Trevero Clothing can provide for you, whether it's weddings, formals, or black tie events. Have Trevero Clothing get you looking your best this summer. Check out their entire line on Instagram or check them out at any Dillard's near you. It's Trevero Clothing, where they dress the best version of you. So, boys, I want to talk about pitching for a second here because, again, I feel like that's kind of the story of this game because that's what we all talked about coming in. We obviously, you knew you had to win, and, of course, Arkansas did. We knew that was the objective number one. You got to win. No, more than anything else, they did that. But we also said we don't want to see that situation where you get Christian Fouch up, you get Gabe Gackle up. Arkansas didn't have to do that. And if you had told me this morning that Aiden Jimenez was going to go 3 2/3, struggle through his start a little bit. He ended up only giving up 2 runs, and he did have to battle through some things. Had a little bit of tough luck here and there, but he issues 4 walks. If you had told me that they weren't going to get a good start from Aiden Jimenez, I would have been very concerned because I would have been like, crap, that probably means they had to use 4 or 5 arms. They did not. Parker Coyle was out of his mind in this game, had his best performance of the season, maybe the best, most important performance of his career. Goes 3 1/3, 3 hits, 0 runs. Does not walk anybody, strikes out 4. This is a lefty-heavy North Dakota State lineup. I believe there's 7 lefties in their lineup with 1 switch hitter. Him and Landon Beitelgeuse, who we'll talk about here in a minute, I feel like really settled the game down for Arkansas. And we talked about how Ben Bybee might be that guy where you'd kind of throw him and he would let you decide what you want to do next. Parker Coyle took the decision-making out of Dave Van Horn's hands. I thought his performance really set the tone, and kind of that's when you knew Arkansas was going to win for sure, when he came in and settled that game down.
Yeah, I felt like what you saw out of him was exactly what you needed in that circumstance. We're not to say that Jimenez is right. Jimenez. I mean, I'm never going to get it right, apparently. But either way, the fact that he came in, and I said, give it 2 runs, and what did we say? When he gave up that solo shot, I immediately saw somebody's like, I got a text from somebody like, hey, we got to get him out of there. I'm like, stop.
A great call, Dave.
Yeah, just stop. Let the kid go. I mean, listen, you gave up 2 runs. 2 runs. You used 3 pitchers. I mean, this is ideal. That's perfect. That's awesome. Like, yeah, it'd be great to have no hitters every day. It'd be great for just come in, hey, 7 innings, perfect game, whatever. That's exactly what you needed. And I agree. Like, not to say that everyone was nervous, but when Coyle came in and settled everything down, I think everyone was like, all right, we're good. We're going to take care of business. We're going to win this game. We're going to be just fine.
I couldn't help but to laugh. You're all jacked up. You're excited. They do the lineups, national anthem and everything. You're on the mound. It's game time, baby. First pitch, sailed it to the backstop. Yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. Me and Andrew looked at each other like, oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. But I couldn't help but have a big smile on my face because there was never any real concern with Arkansas winning this game or not, but like you chuck one to the backstop, and then you give up a run in the first, and you're like, all right, they're down. And then they answer with 2, so you get the lead right back, and then you give up the solo shot, and it's like, oh, so it's going to be like this, huh? But there was a point in time. There was one point in time where it was 4-2 for a while, and we're sitting back there, and Arkansas is not really extending the lead, and me and Andrew looked at each other, and we were like, we might have to move. We might have to go somewhere different. We got to do something to kind of mix up the vibes just a little bit to get this thing going. And right about that time is when we got the 2-run shot at 6-2, and then everything was under control. And so it was all good. The vibes were restored from there, and there was only just one slight moment where they dipped a little bit. But to your point, like, yeah, Jimenez wasn't great. He was fine. He did what he had to do. He got the amount of outs he needed to get. And, Coyle, Beitelgeuse, those guys were awesome. It's exactly what you needed. You get it out of there with a win, whatever. I'm content, man. I'm happy. By
the way, shout out to the Razorback Baseball account, the Twitter account, for tweeting out Jimenez did his job and just got ratioed into oblivion. Everybody's like, did he do his job? Honestly, and then again, it was not a great performance from Aiden Jimenez, not necessarily. Honestly, it's been the story of the season for Arkansas. You get a so-so start, and then you piece it together with the bullpen, who does not allow a run. Let's take a quick look at the box score right here. We'll look at the full thing. You see, Arkansas spread out their hits. This is not the box score of today's game. This is simply not the box score of today's game. That was a completely different box score. It'll just take me just a second here.
While you're looking at that, I will say, and giving a shout out to a guy like Cam Kojal. The dude was, I can't believe he didn't get the triple for the cycle, like jerk. Come on. But still, like that was seeing him. None of us called the home run right with our shot. Like none of us called it right.
No,
as far as who's going to get it.
Only one home run. How about that?
I know. I feel like Arkansas's hit like 2 home runs in the past month.
And we basically
like
we were able to call half of the lineup, and we didn't even get the right guy.
I owe Curtis $5. I need to give him a $5 bill because Brent Iredale did not hit a home run.
He'd rather have a beer.
Did not do anything. Honestly, Arkansas's caboose gang, which has kind of been a story of their season of like they usually get a ton of production from that 7 through 9. Not a great day at the office for Reese Robinette, although he does walk twice. Brent Iredale goes over 4. Justin Thomas goes over 3. But you see there at the bottom, that pitching, I mean, you get 5 1/3 out of your 2 left-handed pitchers, 8 strikeouts, 4 hits, none of which were hit particularly hard. Like North Dakota State really didn't do much. Honestly, guys, North Dakota State may be a little bit more competent than I gave them credit for.
I think so.
Because you look at this, you look at the stats here and you see, all right, 9 for 30. Like, that's a pretty good day at the office there. Arkansas ended up, 3 walks, which is really a big thing. North Dakota State didn't give them much. They didn't make errors in the field. They didn't throw the ball around or anything. Arkansas kind of had to earn everything they got offensively. And they earned plenty enough. I want to give a shout out to my guy Robert Stewart. One, because he's here at Foghorns to support us, so we appreciate that.
Robert Stewart.
That is Robert Stewart right there.
That's Robert
I'm talking about as soon as that Kojal home run ball got over the fence, he turned to us and was like, triple shot of the cycle, because he scores the games, which I always appreciate. Of course, when he's a former Big J journalist. I guess he still is a Big J journalist, but he was all over it. I feel like the Kojal home run, which by the way is a 4-2 game at that point. What would that have been? That would have been in the 5th inning. So at this point, this is when we're getting a little frustrated, and we're kind of like, damn, they haven't really broken that game open. When they went to Coyle, I was like, all right, if they score 4 in the bottom half here, we'll be fine, and you can take Coyle out, throw Colin Fisher, whatever. That Kojal home run kind of let us know that it was okay. Wound up being all Arkansas would need, but Cam Kojal is going to be fun to watch this postseason. Overall, the Arkansas lineup, like, did y'all come away like with any big takeaways? Like, it really was just kind of a so-so day at the office, right?
I will say that in the first inning, I felt like Arkansas was squaring everything up. Like, even the outs. I mean, they were hitting everything hard. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, like, I get it. This is North Dakota State's guy, whatever. He's up there throwing. Like, he's really, and you even said to me, Andrew, like, he's really reaching back to touch a 9 there with that fastball. And he was mixing the changeup a little bit there and the off-speed pitch, which didn't work. In fact, he hung one, and that was the home run that he gave up. Yeah. But after the first inning, I was thinking, man, Arkansas is really, really going to get to this guy with just the way they were squaring him up early. And they didn't. So, like, credit to that dude for settling in a little bit. And I almost, not really, but I almost felt a little bit bad for him that he gave up that 2-run shot later, because he was very close to getting out of a game against a very, very potent lineup with, 5 innings, 4 earned, whatever. But he gives up the tank there. And, it was also funny because we were talking about, Andrew, like, they had a guy up. He was warm. He was hot, ready to go in. And he gives up a 2-run home run right away. And so we're like, oh, his dude's day is over. And no, they left him in. But he wound up getting the out there. And I was actually surprised they had a guy who came in pumping 95 and that they held down Arkansas the rest of the game. You didn't need you had the cushion that you need was fine. But I was a little bit surprised that we didn't get more in the run department there, especially with the way it started, because they were piecing that dude up out of the gates.
100%. And look, again, like, I know we have like a little bit of a sad tone as if we're like disappointed. I mean, listen, you're not really going to complain about wins, especially when you really don't have to exhaust your bullpen.
Right.
I definitely thought that was interesting. Hog fans, y'all will be stunned to hear what type of pitcher it was that gave Arkansas trouble out of the bullpen. A hard-throwing righty that threw the ball 93, 94.
No.
North Dakota State, they don't have a ton of guys that really have plus stuff, like the type of stuff that you normally see in the SEC. Their closer, who they did not use in today's game, is the only guy on their roster that has more strikeouts than innings pitched, at least among guys that actually pitch for them. This guy had 43 strikeouts in 43 innings, so he's like one of their top arms, but not necessarily their guy. So North Dakota State, by the way, who we've given some credit, like, played pretty well. They didn't use a ton of pitching either. You mentioned their starter, Nolan Johnson, who is the Summit League Pitcher of the Year. I mean, anytime you get a win over the Summit League Pitcher of the Year, like, that's a big deal right there. Yeah. He goes 5 innings, gives up 8 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. I love the 2 strikeouts, and I think that's something that I came into the week thinking is, there's all these teams have pitching staffs that, they trust their top guys that you're not just going to dominate necessarily, but I didn't feel like North Dakota State, Kansas, or Creighton had the arms that could really make Arkansas swing and miss a ton, and that's when Arkansas normally gets in trouble there. Landon Beidelshees, I want to talk about him for a second because, matter of fact, I saw a chat. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I saw a chat that said, who had Landon Beidelshees? And and Hayden Jimenez switch and roll. Shout out to Porkenstein, our guy, our resident. Says, who had Landon Beitelscheiss and Hayden Jimenez switch and rolls? Because that's really what happened.
Yeah.
Landon Beitelscheiss for so long had been the starting pitcher who was having a lot of outings that looked a lot like Hayden Jimenez's outing today, where you're kind of battling, you're eating innings, you only give up a couple runs, and you kind of like, all right, outside of the home run, he pitched okay, but it didn't really look the way that we thought it would look when Landon Beitelscheiss committed to Arkansas, and he committed before Zach Root. Right away, I was like, wow, that might be Arkansas.
Saturday guy.
That's certainly going to be a weekend arm. And he ended up being that for a while. But I think there were a lot of Hog fans who were kind of just, rightfully a little disappointed with what they got. And with Hayden Jimenez, it was the opposite, where he was the guy that Arkansas just kind of took out of nowhere. He was injured. He didn't pitch at all last year. We didn't know what we were going to get out of him. Wound up being a little bit of a bullpen ace for them. They switch roles now. Hayden Jimenez gives the shaky start. Landon Beitelscheiss, who, by the way, did not throw last week in Hoover, of course, because Arkansas played one game. Threw, I believe it was two or three, like 2 1/3 against Tennessee. Looked pretty good, but did give up a 2-run home run. Switched up his mechanics or his delivery just a little bit going to the windup. I thought he looked really good today, and I think that's a very positive development for Arkansas moving forward.
Yeah, and I also want to throw in, when you guys were talking about the lineup and everything, I looked it up. The Arkansas did not strike out until the final batter of the third inning.
Yeah,
like
Reese Robinette, right?
Right, yeah, Reese Robinette. They were doing such a great job of getting contact on the ball. And there were a few, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, those would have been home runs in other games, but there was quite a few of ones that are just right there at the warning track. Like, yeah, I'd rather have had hits, but it made me feel good that they were getting contact on the ball, that they were going up with some confidence. And I think they ended up leaving only 6 runners on base, which last year I felt like it was 13 every game. So It wasn't like, hey, they didn't score a lot of runs because they squandered opportunities. It was just, I thought the infield defense of North Dakota State was really good for what that's worth. I thought that they did a good job. I thought the pitcher did a good job. I don't think this was more about Arkansas playing like crap. It was more that North Dakota State gave Arkansas all that they wanted, probably played their A game for them, and Arkansas did just enough to win. And that's why I feel great. I feel fine. I feel fine about it all.
Well, and that's been North Dakota State's MO this season. Like, their offense has stunk all year, but it's been their pitching that's kept them in games. And if you look at their path through the Summit League title, in that conference tournament, they had shutouts. They were giving up 1 run here, 2 runs there. So it's been, their defense and their pitching that's kind of gotten them to this point. So it would make sense if they were going to be competitive against a team like Arkansas, they would lean on kind of what got them there. So, again, it would have been cool for Arkansas to just, get 25 runs or whatever. But this is kind of what North Dakota State does. So it is what it is. And I wanted to ask you, Andrew, 1, were you surprised that we saw Beitelscheiss today? 2, do you think that was the plan all along for Dave? Because Dave talked about how he kind of had his plan. Do you think that was it? Or do you think it was, well, it's 6-2 instead of 10-2, so we can do this to get us by. That way there's no doubt left.
Yeah, I don't think it was one of those situations where Beitelscheiss was like going to close it no matter what. Like if it was 3-2, like Beitelscheiss was going to just pull up there and close the game. But I think he's probably in that category, kind of like Coyle and kind of like Bybee of you're not really sure how to use him. And Beitelscheiss, of course, has served in a lot of different roles for Arkansas this year and throughout his career. I mean, this is a guy that was closing games as a freshman at Ohio State. I think it wound up. Once again, I didn't expect him to start Hayden Jimenez, but when they announced him, I was like, you know what, that makes sense. I didn't expect him to go to Landon Beitelscheiss necessarily in this game, but once I saw it, I was like, you know what, that kind of makes sense. I think it was the right kind of role for him. Plus, you're facing a team that's just a ton of lefties, and so I think that probably went into the decision-making is because I saw Landon Beitelscheiss stirring around early in the game, so I think they probably had it in the back of their mind. We'd like to finish this game with some lefties. What's funny is, so we were watching the final couple innings here in Foghorns, and I had the stat broadcast pulled up. They initially said Cole Gibbler was going into the game. And so I was like, okay, Cole Gibbler, he's been a really good arm for Arkansas. I was actually kind of annoyed because I was like, that's a little bit too high leverage of an arm. I don't really like that. Then the stat broadcast switched to Zach Root.
Like,
and I was like, well, hold on. I don't think that's
Dave's
accurate.
drunk.
I was like, I could be wrong, but I was like, I don't think that's what happened. Then they finally showed it was Landon Beitelscheiss, and so I was like, okay, that makes sense. And it worked out well. I mean, as is the case all the time, when you make a decision and it works, it was a great decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it ended up being what got Landon Beitelscheiss going a little bit. By the way, I think both of the pitchers that threw for Arkansas in this game, let me pull up the pitch counts here real quick. I think both would be available. Coyle threw 49 pitches, which is a lot. And, that's the most he's thrown in a game this year, really going back to his freshman year probably. I feel like if you were in a situation you played in a Game 7 Monday, he would be available for sure.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that has a rubber arm. They've used him twice in the weekend a lot. Bidelshe's also threw 30 pitches, 21 strikes, by the way. Another thing, Parker Coyle threw 34 strikes in his 49 pitches. Those dudes really filled up the zone, which is weird that Aiden Jimenez was not that guy filling up the zone. But going back to your point about Arkansas kind of playing North Dakota State's game and beating them at that. Early in the season, we came into the year thinking, all right, Arkansas, we know they're going to have good pitching. They have good pitching every year. Is the offense going to be better? And so early in the year when Arkansas struggles, we're more with the pitching and they were raking. I was like, isn't this kind of what you would rather have?
Right.
Now it's flipped all the way where we're in the postseason now and we're like, all right, Arkansas's got a good lineup. They've got some studs, but do they really have the pitching? You didn't get the great start, but I feel like Hog fans will probably live with winning a game like this because this is the type of game, obviously, you're going to have to do it against a lot better competition moving forward. I don't want people to think we're saying, yeah, just play this way every game and you're going to win the national title. But I think Hog fans will definitely take winning a game like this.
Well, and I laugh because there was a guy, and he was nice. He wasn't saying it in a mean way, but it was almost like when he just got to the game, and you can tell he probably didn't see the social media posts and everything, but he was just like, wait, he goes, whoa, Jimenez? Okay. And then next he goes, Coyle? Oh, why? And then, Bidelshe, like every time he's just freaking, like, why? What is going on here? And then it worked out, and he was like, like whatever. It's just, it's funny how it's like, you said, Andrew, if it works, it's a great decision.
Yeah.
But if Coyle would have come in there and gotten destroyed, people been like, Dave Van Horn is a moron. He sucks. But it's just like sometimes you just got to let the players play. The players have got to do their job. And I think the pitching did their job today. And that's why people are happy with the pitching and the decisions to bring in those pitchers.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there are two things that you need to do in a game one like this against a 4 seed like this. One, you need to win.
That's big.
And that's the number one thing. Like, no matter how you do it, you got to do it. But we've seen plenty of times in the past where Arkansas has been in a game like this, and they've had to go off script, right? And they've had to use a freaking Kevin Kopps in a game like this. So one is win, and two is get out of there with your pitching in the exact spot that you want it to be, or as close to the spot that you want it to be, and that's exactly what they did here. So 6-2, 3-2, what the hell, 40-2, it doesn't matter. Because they're in really good shape going into tomorrow, regardless of who they play.
Yeah. Let's talk about the scoring recap real quick. I meant to do that at the top, but we'll go ahead and do it now, and then we will hop into the chat because we want to hear from you guys. Appreciate everybody tapping into this Baumbastic post-game, post-season edition presented by Hickey and Whole Law. So right off the top, Arkansas, for like the millionth time in a row, I feel like Arkansas trails every single time in this 1-4 game at some point. And obviously the team, always bats first. But last year, whenever it was, I guess who was it? It was Mason Molina that started. He gave up like 2 in the first, and you're like, okay. You kind of knew you were going to be in for a long one. Hunter Holland threw in this game a couple years ago, and he was super banged up. Like, we could tell right away, we're like, he's hurt. This is something going on. But they trailed in that game, had to piece it together against Santa Clara. So Aiden Jimenez issues a 5-pitch walk to start the game, and again, we're kind of all rolling our eyes like, okay, this is how it's going to be. He settles in. They try to bunt, and they lay down a bunt with 2 strikes, which, we were kind of like, at that point, we're like, sure, we'll take that. He ends up getting a strikeout after that, and then a 2-out single by their cleanup guy, Canton, to left field, good little opposite field swing. That drives in. Yeah, good piece of hitting. That drives in the first run of the game. Arkansas answers right away in the bottom half. Charles Davalon starts it off with, and he had 2 hits in this game, by the way, starts it off with an infield single through the left side. I think it was a 3-2 count, like a good at-bat to set the tone. Vahiva Aloy with his best swing of the day was his first swing of the day. An opposite field double that goes off the fence in right field, gets Charles Davalon to third base. And then Logan Maxwell with a good little opposite field swing. We got folks taking pictures with us in the middle of the show. This is awesome. So we got, and then Logan Maxwell flies out to left center field, so that drives home the first run. And then Cam Kojal starts off his big day, rips a base hit through the right side, gives Arkansas that 2-1 lead in the bottom of the first inning. We felt pretty good about that. North Dakota State answers with the home run to tie it up 2-2. And that's when everyone really started to get nervous. And it was with 0 outs in the second inning. It's kind of crazy that Aiden Jimenez from there on didn't give up a run because it feels like Aiden Jimenez, who's, by the way, just getting absolutely drugged through the mud on the internet. Everyone else in there like, oh, it's the worst start ever. Honestly, it was not that far away from exactly what we hoped he would do. Like, go through 4, only give up a couple runs. Like, it was okay. Arkansas bounced back in the bottom of the second with a Vahiva Aloy sac fly to left field. Apparently, it says Charles Davalon advanced on a fielding error, so I guess that was the one error of the game. I don't even remember that. Reese Robinette came around to score after working a walk after falling behind 0-2. You had the Cam Kojal double that drives home one more run, and then the Cam Kojal 2-run home run. That is your scoring recap. Let's hop into the chat, guys. But actually, before we do that, I want to talk to our friends talk to them about our friends over at Radiant Elements Medical Spa. There is no doubt that workouts deserve a tough recovery. At Radiant Elements Medical Spa, their deep tissue sports massage and infrared sauna help you bounce back faster, hit the weights harder, and stay in the game. They help you run better, Curtis, so you can run away from those pit bulls next time. And for you guys wondering what you should give to your special someone for that special occasion, Radiant Elements Medical Spa have all different types of services to make it the best gift ever. A massage is the best gift because nobody wants to bite the bullet and just on a random Tuesday go get a massage for $100. But if you're getting it as a gift, it's like, I'll go get a massage if it's as a gift, sure. So you can check them out over in the Weddington Plaza, right next to the Lion's Mane, which we have determined is a barbershop. Or you can book an appointment online with the QR code at the top right corner to get 15% off your first service. It's Radiant Elements Medical Spa. Self-care for everyone. And self-care, as we know, is super cool.
Hey,
let's hear what the...
Sorry, I was just going to do real quick, if you don't mind. I was just going to give everybody an update. I asked the question if people feel better, the same, or worse.
Let's hear it.
On the Twitters.
Oh, boy.
And as of right now, where it stands for Razorback fans, 66% say they feel the same.
I think that's probably fair.
Right. And 24% say better.
Okay.
You know what?
So I'm giving them credit. Good job, Razorback fans.
I'm glad that John does the polling because a lot of times on the Alumni Hall question today, I'm surprised. I'm like, I would have thought the fans would have said this.
It's good to get a pulse for how everyone's actually feeling.
A lot of those people who just don't tweet crazy shit. So we don't expect it.
We get the loud minority in the mentions all the time, but that's not always reflective of the greater fan base.
That's
That's
right.
good. That's good stuff, John.
I think we all agree we feel about the same. Like I don't feel vastly different or better or worse at all, right?
No.
Our guy Bo, shout out to Bo, a member here at Inside Arkansas, says this game equals meh. I think that's a fair.
I think it's fair.
That's a fair.
I called it ho hum. Like it's just kind of
You know
what
what
about your business?
I know it's postseason and everything. Kind of reminds me of if Arkansas basketball just beats a North Dakota State or whatever at home by 12 points.
Yeah,
where it's kind of it's just, okay, well you won, it's fine, but then you move on, it's fine.
Shout out to Hunter Skillern. Did I say Skillern?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
He says, I'm just glad we didn't leave a shit ton of runners on base, and I would have liked to score 2 more runs, but I'll take it. A win is a win. Again, pretty much more in line with how I feel about this game.
I got to be honest with you. I would have liked him to score 7 more runs, but hey.
I wonder why, Curtis. Tell us why.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't have been nice. It's funny. If you look at the numbers, this was the most sound, well-rounded hitting performance. Arkansas goes 9 of 30. That is exactly a 300 batting average, according to. Is that accurate?
That's probably about right.
Sounds right.
Yeah, because 10 for 30 is 333,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that makes sense. With 2 outs, they were 4 for 12. That's 333. With runners on base, they were 5 for 13. That's 385. With runners in scoring position, they were 3 for 9. It's like they were actually pretty solid. They were also 3 for 8 to lead off innings. Arkansas kind of just did what they needed to do offensively.
Yep.
And honestly, when a team doesn't walk you and they don't make errors, it's kind of hard to manufacture runs, which is kind of what happened for Arkansas today. And so you kind of just, I hate to say it, you got to give North Dakota State some credit for not playing bad baseball.
Yes.
And look, I overlooked them. I disrespected them mostly because of the offense, which I feel somewhat vindicated in because I don't think that's the most dynamic offense Arkansas has faced all year. But you could see how they got here, man. They played good, solid baseball to get here.
Have they done enough to you guys with the way that they played today and just, I don't know if you paid attention to their actions in the dugout and everything like that. Are they worthy of being adopted by Baum for the rest of the weekend, which might just be tomorrow?
If they eliminate Kansas tomorrow,
Yes.
they will officially be adopted by us.
I'm
but
with
enough to
with
where
you.
we're heavily rooting for that to happen.
They're on adoption watch for sure.
I'll say this. I would love to play them again for the elimination game.
They're like the little Asian baby that you're hoping to get. It's like,
I would love to see them in the regional final.
Yes.
Yeah. Please, Bison, come on, meet us in the regional final.
We'd
Come
love
on.
to see it. We'd be really nice about it too.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the mobster that has his guy that takes care of business for him, and then he brings him along and then kills him when he needs to because he knows too much.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm feeling about this North Dakota State team. Dylan Sharp says Cam Kojal postseason is going to go crazy. This is right, man. I gotta say, Cam Kojal, Omaha native. His dad worked on the grounds crew at TD Ameritrade, worked on the grounds crew for the Omaha Storm Chasers. This kid was born to play in Omaha. And he has played in Omaha before also. He says he's spent every single day since he committed to Arkansas thinking about playing in Omaha. Which I mean, I believe because I think about Arkansas playing in Omaha pretty much
join
every
the
single
club.
day.
I mean,
I love that.
I can see DVH right now out there in the outfield in the circle in his Dracula flow look.
Oh yeah.
How about that Cam Koziel?
Yeah, Koziel. Yeah, he's like clapping it up for him. Yeah, I like that a lot. Hickory Hog, our guy, says the first game offensive explosion has worked against them in the past. Ha ha. Leave these boys hungry. Make them sit all day tomorrow with Big Nate and talk bat and ball things. Woo pig. I do like this.
I like this a lot.
It's true.
No matter what, when you're in a 3-game series or whatever, this type of format, anytime you have a big time 15-0 game, people always say, well, why don't you save some runs for tomorrow, which, as we know, is not really how this thing works. It's not like, you get to carry it over or anything like that. But everyone remembers 2021 when Arkansas scored 21 in game 1 of the Supers and then didn't score. I think they scored like 8 runs the next 2 games combined or something like that. Yeah, maybe. And so it's like there's definitely something to that. You got to keep the carrot dangling in front of those guys' hair. Those guys. I want to say, as I was reading this comment here from our guy Chris Cheatham, who is here in the building. Shout out to him. He says the hair looks good. By the way, this is everyone always asks when I'm wearing cool shit like the hat that I have, or I have the posters in the background. People always, Andrew, how'd you get that? Because I have a plug, and my plug is Christian Cheatham, who has outed himself. That he's going to get fired by the Razorback athletic department when they find out that he's friends with me.
That's brutal. Yeah, that's grounds for termination for sure.
In fact, hey, buddy, you got 30 seconds before they bust through the door, all right?
There's about to be a red dot on your forehead, buddy. Michael Kopesky says, here's the big question. Who do we want to play, Creighton or Kansas? Do you guys have a preference?
Kansas.
My preference is Creighton. I just Kansas. If there was a team that might have a chance to swing it with Arkansas, it'd be Kansas.
I think so, too. I mean, Daniel Shee tried to sell me on Creighton, and he did his best, and he loves Creighton. I don't know what it is. He loves Creighton for some reason.
It's a weird deal. Big Creighton basketball guys, yes.
He says that their games are just on when he gets done working sometimes, and he just watches. He's more of a basketball guy. He doesn't follow their baseball. But he tried to sell me. He did not effectively sell me. I think I still would rather face Creighton, though they do have a better pitching staff.
Yeah, I fear neither one of them.
Here's my riveting analysis.
Okay.
Arkansas owns Kansas in postseason play in the sports.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's only
true.
analysis.
That narrative would be actually kind of cool to keep going.
Yeah, they are like our stepsons.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Liberty Bowl and the NCAA tournament. Yeah. The only next step is the regional.
We have such a long history of it, Well, this might change y'all's minds because Ethan says solid-sized Creighton tailgate at Lot 99.
Okay.
Looks like they traveled pretty well.
They do,
I've
man.
noticed this lately because obviously, everyone now has to park in Lot 99 and we have to pay $5, which is just absurd in this economy these days. I've noticed a lot of like tailgating going on out there, and it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm glad. They need it.
Interesting. I haven't seen much by way of Kansas yet.
I haven't either, actually.
I did see a handful of Creighton. I didn't know about the tailgate there, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go crash it.
All right.
That is interesting. Speaking of Daniel Shee, Cannon says we need a Daniel Shee feature at Foghorns. I mean,
dude,
he can buy alcohol now, so maybe we'll have to get him.
No, he'd come in here and start fights with people, man. It'd be like Roadhouse in here, like here in a second if Daniel Shee walked in.
He would start fights with you.
Andy Hodges has him, burning up the fingertips on the keyboard, so he's going to be busy for hours.
Yeah, Daniel Shee has a real job, so I don't know if he's going to be able to really kick it with us necessarily. Where was I at here? Brian wants to know, can we get to Omaha with Iredale and Cahillo scuffling? It's a little concerning. Is Cahillo scuffling? Because I think he went 1 for 3 with a walk today. I thought he had some good ABs actually. He had the base hit up the middle. He took a walk, which didn't seem like a big deal, but he wound up scoring in that inning. Yeah. I thought that was a good AB. He's been swinging the bat pretty well here lately. Iredale has been scuffling a little bit more, but even Iredale had a good series against Tennessee. I mean, he went over 4 today. I don't know if I'm necessarily ready to call those guys scuffling.
Well, Cahillo did not hit a home run like half of our esteemed team predicted he would, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But the answer to the question is yes. Yeah, I think they can.
Yeah. I mean, listen. We always do this thing where we're like, oh, this guy went 0 for 4. We got to have him hitting if we want to win. And then this guy goes 0 for 4. Well, we got to have him hitting if we want to win. I think we've learned at this point in the season that this offense is not dependent on, like, 2 guys. It's not one of those things where you have, like Kansas, for example, has 3 big-time hitters in their lineup. If those 3 big-time hitters don't show up, the rest of the lineup has some guys there. But it's like it's really a 3-headed monster. Arkansas's Brent Iredale is hitting 7th for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know what I mean? And like Justin Thomas is in the 9 hole, a guy that's hitting like 295 with 8 home runs on the year. Like Arkansas's got some depth in their lineup. I think we've kind of learned that these guys are going to have their ups and downs, their ebbs and flows, but they usually figure it out at the end of the day.
I want to thirst real quick. I'm glad you guys explained that to me because when I think scuffling, I think of like fighting. And so that's the way
like
I
they got
took
into it or
So
something.
that's why I started because I'm like, did you guys see something that they got into it? But that makes more sense of if it's the same as struggling.
Let's assume let's take 10 seconds here, and if they did get into a scuffle, who would come out on top there?
In between
Iredale
Cuyo and Iredale?
Cuyo. Listen, I like the big Australian, but dude. I know
it's so tough in both.
Brent Iredale's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's like,
Dude.
I mean, they're both big guys.
Yeah, Samoan Thunder. Like
I saw forgetting Sarah Marshall. Remember how mean those guys would be out there, man? Like,
Yeah.
they
I don't
wreck.
know if Brent Iredale has that kill another human dog in him. You know, he has that dog in him as a player.
Yeah.
He's a great defender at third base and all that. But I think Cahillo is a little bit. He's a little bit of a country boy. I mean, that's his walk-up song is literally country boy. He's got a little bit of that no nonsense mentality. He's also just stout. I think I'd take. He's got a little more explosion in him. I'll take Cahillo.
I would just for the sake of debate, I'll go with Iredale just because like people in the chat are saying never bet against an Aussie. Okay.
All right,
But if it was against animals, I'd agree because they know how to fight animals.
But he grew up boxing kangaroos, and we're talking about.
Yeah. Kangaroos.
We can all agree it would be a good scuffle.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, we'd pay money to see
I'd
it.
rather see them fight than see them continue to scuffle at the plate.
That's true.
We agree on that.
Absolutely.
By the way, the more I'm thinking about it, Cahillo went 1 for 3, and he did strike out. His other out was like a line drive that was at the warning track in right field, like a ball smoked. I don't know if he's scuffling, but shout out to Richard Reed. Isn't it Reed Richards? Isn't that the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic? Reed Richards?
I don't know, actually.
I'm
not
pretty
sure.
sure. I'm pretty sure it is. So
Okay.
shout out to Richard Reed, who is not Mr. Fantastic, but he says great start for the Hogs. Saved our pitching. Whoopig Suey. Appreciate you for the super chat. Absolutely. Hunter Ratio is right there with you, Curtis. He is mad that the over did not hit.
Yeah, I started that. I knew I had to bring it up at some point. Michelle's really been grilling me. She's like, "What do you mean you bet the house? What do you mean the house? You bet the house? What does that even mean?" It's $20. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
it's more than I usually like. Usually, I'll throw like $5 here, $5 there. But I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm going in on this.
By the way, RIP to anybody who laid the -300 on Arkansas -4.5.
yeah,
They won by 4.
yeah, wow,
That is brutal.
gosh,
Hate
Boy,
to see it.
I tell you who's not poor today. BetSaracen.
No, they're not. They're not.
Like none of those. By the way, Aiden Jimenez. Okay, I got to talk about this. This is crazy. Aiden Jimenez. The prop that I gave out on the show today was him to give up over 4.5 hits and to throw over 64.5 pitches. He gives up 5 hits. 63 pitches.
Oh my gosh!
I think Dave might have cut a deal with the boys.
That's
Him and
insane.
Carlton might have
Yeah,
had a phone call. I don't know, man.
who's that Alabama coach?
Bohannon?
yeah.
Same
Yeah,
situation,
RIP.
bro. This is
Let's
crazy.
not start any rumors around here. Yeah.
Michael Kopesky, who is just a bundle of sunshine, dude. I
He
mean,
always
nobody is as happy-go-lucky as Michael Kopesky, dude. He's just the best, just so happy. He says, without Kojal, this offense worries the shit out of me. What did the Eloy Bros finish? They finished 2 for 6, which is a .333 batting average. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do that any game where it's like you win 5-2 or whatever, and you take the best hitter in that game and you take them out. Yeah, I mean, we could do that game a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like how I view this offense necessarily as being dependent on one guy.
Well, as you know, Kojiel's the one that's carried this team all year long.
As we know, he's been the only guy that's been hitting all year.
Yeah, come on, Kopesky.
Yeah. Shout out to Vince Remy, one of our OGs. Is Vince Remy a top 5 chatter we have?
Yeah.
I mean, probably got to be. He's definitely a top 5 chatter of the Baumbastic. Dude's electric. But he says, my favorite part of playing the early game is getting to hate watch all the night games, looking at you, Tennessee and LSU.
It's nice.
This is 100% right now. Obviously, you can't get too cocky because you got to play tomorrow night. But we get a lot of time. I mean, we get 26, 27 hours here to really enjoy this victory, watch everyone else, sit there and laugh at Florida, who ended up losing 11-6, by the way. I saw Stetson was up 7-0 in their game. Who were they playing?
Was that
NC State.
NC State.
NC State.
Yeah, shout out to Quinn.
Yeah,
he's feeling good over there.
Speaking of Tennessee,
Kentucky lost, right?
Yeah.
They were down. I haven't checked. They tied it up at one point. They were down 3-0 and then tied it up 3-3.
Okay.
So I don't know. I haven't been tapped in necessarily. Caden Jowers says, y'all see Tennessee is pitching Doyle today.
Yes, I did see
that. I did see
choice.
that, and it's definitely interesting. But again, it's part of why you can't really complain too much in a game like this today where Arkansas did not use Zach Root, did not use Gage Wood, did not use Gabe Gackle, did not use Christian Fouch, did not use Cole Gibler. I mean, there's like 9 arms we can sit there and rattle off.
They're fine.
Tennessee's pitching their ace against a 4 seed, in which, look, I never want to shame these coaches for what they do. By the way, did y'all hear Tony V's quote on this? He said, I'm not trying to outthink teams this time of year. I'm trying to out-better teams this time of year.
Okay.
So we're just going to do what we do, and we're going to be better
quote.
than everyone. I actually kind of low-key love that.
I do too.
LSU, by the way, in 2023, when they had Paul Skeens, threw him 125 pitches in Game 1 against Tulane. I believe it was a complete game. And so it's like, it's not the – It's worked for some other teams before, but I do think that's interesting.
You want me to get a quick score update for games? All right,
give us the whole rundown, actually.
Yeah, real quick. Florida State is up 5-2 at the bottom of the third over Bethune. You got Georgia up 17-2 at the top of the eighth over Binghamton. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but they got bases loaded too, so it could be more. Miami is up on Alabama 5-3, top of the ninth. So be on the lookout for that. UCLA is up on Fresno State 6-2, top of the seventh. Georgia Tech's up 6-1, bottom of the seventh over Western Kentucky. Arizona is up 3-2, bottom of the eighth on Cal Poly. Stetson's up 8-0 against NC State, top of the seventh. Wright State's up on 2-0 on Vanderbilt, top of the second.
Wright State is a dangerous.
They're
like
forward,
Wright
dude.
State is like Davidson of basketball.
Yep.
You know, like when
Yeah.
you see Davidson is like a 14 seed,
You're
you're
like,
like,
oh,
shit. It's like, dude, Wright State's not who you want to see.
North Carolina beat Holy Cross 4-0. East Carolina, as you mentioned, beat Florida 11-6. Cincinnati beat Wake Forest 11-6.
They did get them, huh?
Yeah, so they got them. Texas beat Houston Christian 7-1. Louisville beat ETSU 8-3. West Virginia beat Kentucky 4-3. And USC beat TCU 13-1. So, yeah, glad you could get
TCU, man. TCU was
Smack
like
around, bro.
like I saw a lot of people, everybody tweets out like their Omaha 8 and their picks and all that. TCU is like a very trendy Omaha like sleeper pick. Hell, that was a team that I was like really thrilled was not in the Fayetteville Regional for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I did
But,
not
like,
expect them to lay an egg like that.
Outside of Georgia, there, a lot of these 1 seeds who were playing inferior opponents doing about the same exact thing.
Right.
6-1, 7-1, 7-3, 6-2.
Yeah.
Like
Texas was. I saw it was like 6-1, and they were it was like the top of the seventh, and they had like bases loaded, 1 out, and
Yeah.
Texas ended up getting out of it with no runs. But it's like a lot of these teams
Right.
kind of flirt with disaster, and I can't overemphasize it enough because I really think it's the story of today's game. The fact that Arkansas didn't really have to use any pitching,
Yeah.
big.
and these 2 lefties, one of which we know for sure is probably going to be available later in the weekend. It's very big. Shout out to Parker Coyle. You saved the program, buddy. Jake Lane says, I really appreciate you guys going live right after the game. Great analysis and so much better than waiting on FM radio broadcast post games and their endless commercials. You guys rock. Well, we appreciate this for
very
sure.
nice.
It is
Thank
very
you.
nice.
That's cool.
We just make you sit through a few ad reads, but it's no big deal. But no, seriously, it's like because I listen to the pregame show, with Phil a lot. It's a tough listen where it's like he'll talk for 2 minutes. He's like, all right, I'll read you the starting lineup, and then there's 8 commercials.
Got to pay them bills, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna ask Dave 1 question, and then there's eight commercials, and then we're gonna ask him 1 more, and then it's just like it is a little bit of an issue here.
I love it when people that makes me feel really good. By the way, folks, if you're a baseball person, we do this after every football game. We do it after every basketball game. Like this is and I like we all love our individual shows, and Inside Arkansas Live is awesome and everything. I love the post game shows.
These
I
are
absolutely
way
love doing these,
better.
man.
Like
Yeah.
I love
So much
doing
fun.
Baumbastic, but like
Of course, yeah.
there's as big of an ego as I have, I do like to share the spotlight with my guys. You know what I mean? So it's
of course.
I really
you know?
these are always a lot of fun, and so last year we only got to do 3 of them. These
Yeah,
baseball
yeah.
post
Pretty
games.
quick.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've got 10, 12, I don't know, a good bit of these left in us this year. And I appreciate you guys for joining me. Obviously, I know that baseball's my baby, but I appreciate you guys being on the show. And being
I
here
appreciate
with
you
me.
letting me, hop on.
It is.
Yeah.
I tell you this right now. I always enjoyed doing the basketball post games with a friend as opposed to doing them solo.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have somebody else to hang out
I would
with and
always
talk
feel
to.
bad when I'd leave you hanging. When I'd have something going on, or I'd be traveling, or during the holidays or whatever. I'd always feel bad watching you crank out those.
Well,
by
it would
yourself.
only be when it was like after a, ho hum 13-point win over Pacific that no one cared about. I'm like,
Right.
yeah. So let's dive into it.
It's a lot more fun to do these whenever you win, of course. But man, if Arkansas ends up losing this regional, I'm going to be leaning on you guys heavily. I'm going to be a freaking mess. I was a mess last year when we were doing it, but I'm going to be even more of a mess this year. A Razor Shark 717 says, "Thanks Andrew for being the baseball guy. Thanks Curtis for being the basketball guy, and thanks John for being the football guy."
Hell yeah!
I guess that's what we've decided on. Do you take it? Are you the football guy? Would you say?
I mean, I'll do it.
Wear it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that if there's a sport that I feel like I'm most competent at speaking on, it's probably football. Even though I'm still not competent at it, but I'd say it's football. So we'll roll with it.
There we go. Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Covered all the bases.
Yeah, I like that. Wonder Bread says, "I'm waiting to see what kind of wings they order before hitting the like button."
Have
you guys
order
settled
wings,
on what you're going to get?
I haven't even looked at the options.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up this menu real quick.
But I'm gonna get, whatever it is, I'm gonna get weird.
Yeah.
And hope it doesn't backfire on me because I'm really hungry also. But
Shout out to intern Reagan for not finishing, not even coming close to finishing her wings that she got earlier. I don't know what flavor they were. But when we went to the game, came back, and they were still sitting here, they asked Curtis, they're like, "Hey, do you think she's going to come back and eat these?" And he was like, "I'm pretty sure we're
okay.
good.
Yeah.
We're fine." Dylan Sharp says, "This game felt like a glorified midweek game. We could have opened it up, but didn't need to. Got the job done." There is something to it being a glorified midweek game, a little bit of, although of course there's a lot more pressure. I don't know about we could have opened it up, but didn't. But it's like, I think Arkansas, if they wanted to. Or if they could have, I think they would have liked to have scored a few more runs, given us a little bit more cushion. But I agree for the most part, for sure. Woo MF Pig says, "Dog needs to treat the beginning of the game like a bullpen situation. Our guys seem to psych themselves out when they get announced as a starter." I'm trying to figure out what dog.
I think
that was supposed to be.
I think it was DVH, and
DVH,
it probably
okay.
auto-corrected to that. I think.
Yeah, and look, this is a conversation we have a lot where, we talk about what roles to put these guys in, and it's why I always think it's crazy when people act so definitively, whether it's preseason, midseason, whatever. They're like, "Oh, obviously, just throw this guy here. Obviously, just throw this guy here." Because, dude, you know what it was 2 months ago? Do y'all remember when people were like, "Why do they keep starting Gabe Gackle? Why don't they start Aiden Jimenez? He's the best bullpen arm we have. Just make him a starter." It's not that simple. And, I mean, you see Landon Beidelshees, when you're asking him to throw 2 innings, he looks pretty damn good. You ask him to throw 6 innings, well, it's a little bit harder. And that's just how life works. That's how baseball works. Like, when you're asked to do less, it's going to be easier. And there is something to the mentality of it, though, because I think there's some guys who are better equipped to start. Hell, I think Zach Root is one of those guys. Like, when we were having all these conversations preseason and even during the season about who needs to start, who needs to go where, Zach Root was one where you couldn't even really consider it because, like, with his skill set and kind of the way he pitches, he kind of needs to get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's much value for him as a, late inning guy. And so you never know, but I do think people just need to understand it's very hard to start a game, and you don't really have that, acclimation period, and you have to face that lineup 2-3 times. It was not a coincidence that when Dave took Aiden Jimenez out, it was right when the lineup was about to start over the third time. It's really hard to do, man, and it's mentally it's hard, physically it's hard, and it's a lot easier said than done. But that's kind of been the story of Arkansas season, is being able to piece it together. That being said, I'd really like to see them get some good starts here the next couple of days from Zach Root and Gage Wood.
That'd be neat. Yeah, that'd be okay.
Shout out to our guy Whitty, man. He says, "Woo Pig Suey, this is our year. Maybe. Hopefully. Go Hogs. Drop me off some wings on the way home." John, I'm gonna let you handle that. You can bring our guy Whitty some wings.
That's very kind of you.
I was gonna say name your flavor. He later said mango habanero. So
all right,
there we go. All right,
okay,
done.
Curtis, can you name your top 5 chatters?
Not without a lot of dead air. I'll think about it here in the meantime.
you probably have your number 1 chatter though, right? Like, you have the number 1 chatter,
right?
Number
1's easy. Yeah,
okay,
she's staring me down right
just
now.
making sure. Yeah, just making sure.
I think Kingsley's probably my number 1 chat.
Kingsley's just, man, he's OG. He's reliable. He's been there from day one. Like, he's definitely up there. But it's kind of tough. Instead of doing a top 5, what I think I need to do is put together my categories, because I like different people for different reasons.
Yeah, we love Quinn today.
We love Quinn today. Yeah,
we love Quinn.
Some people I love because of, like, if they're commenting on basketball stuff, I'm like, man, this dude knows ball. I really like that. Some people are really funny. Some people are trolls, and I can occasionally appreciate a troll. So I think it needs to be categorized more than just, here are my top 5.
Yeah,
we'll put those together.
Yeah.
This summer.
Yeah, I like that. A few other chats here. I see Kopesky says East Carolina pitcher needs to be in a Razorback uni next year, which, it's funny about that. would you believe me, Kopeski, if I said that Arkansas tomorrow is going to pitch a guy who is from East Carolina and was the #1 pitcher in the portal? I'm sure that will give you a lot of confidence moving forward that you're going to get that kind of start from Zach Root tomorrow. Let's see what. Oh, I had a chat there, but they're pulling in here. Joe Anderson says battered hog syndrome runs too deep with this fan base. Not enough excitement about this team. I think today went great. Here we go, Hogs. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, listen, battered hog syndrome is absolutely a thing that I think we all have suffered from at different points in our lives, and it's why we always are a little bit nervous. Like, even if we're confident, we're still a little bit nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of fans that are a little bit hesitant to jump on board and, like, go fully in with a team. But I would just say, like, dude, you know you're gonna get burned here and there. The wins are so much better when you're like fully invested. Mm-hmm. I never understand why people will like kind of be reserved and they like don't want to watch the games. And then if they find out the team's good, then they want to watch. I'm like, that's not as rewarding, right?
No.
But I guess it also doesn't hurt as much.
No. Well, and I'll also say too, if you're somebody that's excited, I'm not going to disagree with you or try to argue with you. But if you're someone that's also, battered hog syndrome, I'm not going to argue or disagree with you either.
It's valid.
Like, it's like both things are valid. And that's where it's like, somebody like, oh, why are people so negative? I get it. Why are people so positive? I get it. Like, I get both sides. So just, we'll see. Let the regional play out, and then we can start getting excited. Yeah.
Well, we got LeBron James. We got the GOAT in the chat, bro. Shout out to LeBron James, man. We appreciate you tapping in, man.
All the way from Cabo.
All the way from Cancun or Turks and Caicos or wherever the hell he's at. Hope him and the fam are doing well. He says, Arkansas is the Cowboys of college baseball. We say it is our year every year. My question to you would be, LeBron, is there a program that competes at a high level that doesn't feel like it's their year every year? Like, what program that's like, in the mix most years, like goes in and they're like, this is probably in our year. Like, is that a thing that has ever happened?
No. Because then you're not a big-time program.
And eventually it will be Arkansas's year. Maybe this is the one, but don't you you want to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Like if you have the resources that, Arkansas does at school, if you're playing in the league that Arkansas is and everything, why would you not want to be able to go into every year and say, yep, this is the one. Yep, this team's going to get it done. Yep, this team's going to win the title. That's the entire point. And, like, it reminds me of basketball because people get so pissed off at me every time I'm like, man, I really wish that Arkansas would go all in while you can't, like, with this NIL and, man, go get that piece that puts you over the top. Because to me, it's like, if we're not talking about championships, what the hell are we doing here? Like, that's the goal, and you have the ability to do that with the resources that you have. So, heck yeah, man, it should be every year.
And look, I understand, people like to do, anytime you say, hey, this team might have a chance to win it all, and they don't win it all, it's easy to dunk and be like, oh, wow, you couldn't do that. I will say, 2023 would be a year where I think Arkansas baseball, I don't think anybody in the media, in the fan base or anything was like, this is the team.
Yeah.
This is the team. Like, I think we all kind of went into that year being like, I don't know. Then they win the SEC, and we were like, cool. But, like, when they got beat by TCU in the regional, nobody was stunned. Like, we were not heartbroken. We were disappointed, and we were sad. But, like, I don't think that was, like, a year where it's like you looked at it and, like, Arkansas really had the pieces. Last year was a year going into the season that I definitely thought they had a real chance to win it. Obviously, had the best pitcher in college baseball. We knew the pitching staff would be on another level. The offense just wasn't good enough, and then you didn't get a good start from Hagen Smith in the regional. But this year, a part of why we've said, hey, this is our year is because you look at it on paper. We felt like Arkansas maybe has the best team in college baseball. A lot of national observers agree. Does that mean they'll win the title? I don't know, but we're here to find out. And they are on pace to win it right now because they're 1-0 in the postseason. So
they are undefeated.
You can't argue that at all. A few more chats before we look ahead a little bit and get out of here. But Fishman says $500 definitely buy some love. Yeah, we should have shouted out Quinn. We literally gave us.
We threw him out there.
We definitely. When I was talking about my number one, I should have.
That's what I said. It's like Quinn's my
Kingsley, you've been demoted. Sorry, you're number 2, Kingsley.
Although, where the hell is he?
Yeah, he's getting. Dude, Quinn's probably so drunk right now.
Oh, dude, you know he's tore up from the floor.
We're gonna have to tell him what happened in the Auburn game.
Love that. Shout out to Lucas, who is in Norfolk, Virginia. Curtis was near that area the other day. What were you about to say?
Well, this is cool, and like he says here, Woo Pig Suey from Norfolk, Virginia. I've been listening to y'all for a long time now, and appreciate the hell out of y'all. Anytime I miss Arkansas, I put on one of y'all's videos. When Michelle and I were in Virginia Beach, and we did our gender reveal and everything, we got married over there. You guys know all that. But it's like Virginia Beach, Norfolk, like all those places it's like Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers kind of deal.
Right.
but somebody DM'd me. It was the day after we left, and was like, "Man, next time you guys are in Virginia Beach or down there in this area, you got to hit me up because we have this large contingent of Razorback fans down here, and we all meet at this particular restaurant, and we just get together, we talk ball. If there's a game, we watch the game or whatever, and it would have been awesome, man, if you could have came out and everything." So I just wonder if Lucas is part of this or if he knows about it, because if not, you need to go to CP Shuckers in Virginia Beach down there on the ocean front and meet up with all your fellow Razorback fans who are down there. Apparently there's a lot, which I think is very cool.
That is crazy that's happening. Also, I love the fact that he said that anytime I miss Arkansas, I'll put on one of y'all's videos. Yeah, suck it, War Machine.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, we love that. By the way, I'm being told by the chat that Bama almost won on a walk-off home run, but it was robbed at the wall.
Yeah, they started freaking out, so I guess that's what it was.
I heard the commotion. I was like, what's going on? So, okay.
Yeah, by the way, that's in the Southern Miss Regional where Bama was the favorite to win that. Or it was like them and Southern Miss were like basically even odds to win that regional there. We get one more super chat from our guy Josh Parker. Says, "Cold one on me, Woo Pig Suey." We will absolutely, that money will absolutely go directly towards Curtis's next Miller beer. I asked Curtis what he was drinking earlier, and he was like, "I'm not going to do the song," because he's like, "You do it well," but he's like, "That's what I'm drinking." Again, a few more chats, and then we'll kind of do a quick little peek ahead to tomorrow, give some final thoughts, and get out of here. Let you guys enjoy your Friday night. But our guy Hayden Short says, "I've always told my non-Hog friends that nobody will appreciate a championship like Hog fans when it eventually happens. We ride through the highs and lows and stay committed." This is 100% true, man. Like, you don't know what joy is unless you've experienced pain.
Yeah.
What's the other 50 Cent line he says? "Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. Something wouldn't feel good if it wasn't for rain." What does he say? You know what I'm talking about?
It's 21. It's 21 Questions is the song you're referencing. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think it is. No, I'm talking about Many Men. In Many Men, he says, "Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain." Does he say the sun?
If I didn't hug you for so long.
The sun wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for rain. Death got to be easy because life is hard. It'll leave you emotionally and mentally
scarred.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff.
We are hip.
Hayden Short is absolutely right, though. That, like, look, and that's ultimately, like, that's why you play the game. That's why you keep going to the casino. That's why you keep going to the roulette table. Because one day you're going to spin that damn chamber, and it's going to land on what you bet on. You know what I mean? And your team is going to win that title. And that's our goal as a fan base. Obviously, we can't really do much to actually contribute to that goal, but, like, that's what you wake up telling yourself. This time of year, that's what's so exciting, is because that's what's up for grabs. And, man, I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like, man. I've thought about it so much, and, like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm going to be an emotional wreck if they win the national championship. Like, that's going to be a hard post-game show. And I think that's why people get so pissed off whenever I tweet stuff about, oh, hey, what if they do it? Because I think the haters can sense that we're on the cusp of something, and they know they only have a few more weeks to get these little jabs out. And so get them out while you can. And, do what you got to do, because the pig's day is coming. The sun will shine on this beautiful swine. One more chat, and it's fitting. The last chat I'm going to read is an argument about Kendall Diggs.
Good.
Great.
Wonder Bread says, "There was a debate in the Discord. Is Diggs our best right fielder?" So I don't know if you guys noticed, Kendall Diggs came into the game, I guess it was in the 8th inning, as a defensive replacement. So a reason they're doing that is because Logan Maxwell's hamstring has been, a disaster all year. He's missed time with it. It's kind of been something he's never really been 100% with. Also, not necessarily the best defender. I mean, he's a guy that DH'd last year at TCU, so not necessarily a lights-out defender. So when you're in a game like this that's low-scoring, Logan Maxwell has his AB. You assume his spot in the lineup's not coming up. You go and put in your best defensive lineup. Diggs, who, by the way, started his career as an infielder, then was a DH, then got moved to outfield, stunk in the outfield, and then kind of over time got pretty good at it, started making some plays. At this point, I would say he is Arkansas's best right fielder. Obviously, of course, you have Davalon playing left and Thomas in center. Like, those are your two best outfield defenders. Carson Bowles, not a plus defender by any means, even though he's had a really good year at the plate. Logan Maxwell, really good hitter, not really a defender. So
can't be a defender when you don't have a hamstring. So
exactly. So, I don't know if Kendall Diggs is necessarily a Gold Glover by any means, but that is something that Arkansas has been doing pretty consistently all year, though, is when they do a defensive replacement type of thing, they put in Kendall Diggs there in right field. And so, they did it here today. I hope we get one more Kendall Diggs AB before this sucker ends.
Does Diggs have more game appearances than at-bats?
I don't think so.
In SEC play.
In SEC play, potentially.
Probably does, yeah.
But, early in the year, he was getting some at-bats here and there. But, Guys, I want to look ahead to tomorrow real quick. Obviously we don't know who Arkansas is going to play. We'll wait and see if Arkansas gets Kansas or Creighton. And I'm debating. I'm probably going to put out some type of little bombastic, 7-minute video that just, hey, here's who won. Here's who's pitching.
Happened, yeah.
But from Arkansas' standpoint, as we know, Game 2 is the game. That's the one you have to win. The winner of the 1-0 game in a regional wins the regional at an 88% clip or something stupid like that. Arkansas is going to have their choice. We have not heard Dave Van Horn's press conference. I'm assuming he maybe announced it. I
think that he did the thing, if I was seeing right on Twitter and in the chat, where he was like, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
And then left it at that.
Yeah.
But,
again, he doesn't know who it is.
Right.
So there probably is something to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it's Zach Root.
Yeah.
It might not be, of course. We'll see. And I don't know if Arkansas would put that announcement out. We can kind of talk about that. But the reality is Arkansas is going to have an arm on the mound tomorrow that is a projected top 40 pick. Regardless of if it's Gage Wood, a righty, or Zach Root, a lefty, it's going to be a guy who's a junior, a guy that you have a lot of confidence in, a guy that has really good stuff. And they'll either be facing a really good Kansas lineup or a scrappy Creighton team that's got a good pitching staff. So they'll need to be on their A game there. As far as the bullpen, you have a lot of those big-time arms that you want to have, your circle of trust, your guys that you really trust. How confident do you guys feel going into Game 2? Obviously, today's game, we've talked about it. We've hashed it out. Put that one to bed. You have the 24-hour rule. Tomorrow you move on. How confident do you guys feel in Game 2 that Arkansas can get over this hump, win that game tomorrow, because that's the one you really need to win?
I mean, I'm confident, and it's mainly due to what you talked about with the pitching depth. I don't think it's one of those deals to where if it is Root, we're all hoping we see good Root tomorrow, because we've seen good Root and bad Root. But I think if you don't get good Root, it's not like, well, crap, man, we got nothing. What are we going to do here? We got to plan ahead. We got to do this. It's like, no, you're out. Hey, this guy, come in. You got options. And so that makes me feel better. And the next guy may suck too. You never know. But as far as the confidence level, I feel better about it because I feel better about Arkansas's pitching depth and the fact that they didn't use a whole lot today. It makes me confident. You got to score runs. You got to get that part of it done. But the pitching is what gives me confidence, and I feel good about Arkansas winning tomorrow.
I'm confident too. Yeah, for all the reasons that were laid out there. Kansas makes me nervous. They do. They can swing it, man, and it's just they kind of remind me of some of the teams that have come in here and give Arkansas trouble in the past. Creighton's got the pitching staff, but they've also, it's like the Big East, and you know what I mean. There are levels to this. It's kind of how I feel about that. I'm confident Arkansas is going to get it done either way. If it's Kansas, I'm expecting this to be a dramatic, back and forth, very stressful, and we come in here and sit down at this table afterwards
yeah, we just need to simmer it after it.
It'll be like midnight by the time we're doing this postgame show.
Yes, but I do feel good about them getting it done because they just have, it's the pitching death, man, arm after arm after arm after arm that they can throw at you, and nobody here could match that anyway, and they damn sure can't do it in a Game 2.
Real quick, if you get good Root tomorrow, though, Arkansas wins easily. Simple as that. You get good Root, they win easily.
Yeah.
I have to pull something up real quick. That just reminded me. I was in the shop the other day. I was in what's the name of this shop? It's downtown on the square in Fayetteville down there. It says, I saw a Bible verse. If the root is holy, so are the branches. That is Romans 11:16. I took a picture of it because I was just like, that's good stuff right there. Really if the root is holy, the Hogs will win. That is that is John Nabors 3:16. Y'all know about John 3:16. Y'all don't know about the new John Nabors 3:16. I imagine, like you said, Curtis, it's going to be a stressful one. I don't think that leash is going to be super long, regardless of who's pitching, because it doesn't need to be. I'm already excited. I'm already fired up for tomorrow's game. We got a lot of time to sit and chill and think about it and talk ourselves in and out of it. And we hope everyone will join us tomorrow night. We're going to be doing this exact post-game reaction, the Baumbastic post-game show, the best damn baseball show anybody's even known, heard of, thought of, knew was possible, or even could have imagined with the three most handsome gentlemen this side of the Mississippi. I appreciate you guys for joining me. He's Curtis Wilkerson. He's John Nabors. I'm Andrew Ellis. We are Inside Arkansas. We will be back here to recap Arkansas's huge, dominant win over Kansas/Creighton tomorrow night. Hope you will join us. It's going to be a late one. Woo damn.